Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quest for the Bestest. It's the podcast from Backlot Banter where we review every single Palme d'Or winner. Today we are going to the best year of civilization. I made that joke last episode if you caught it, but 1999 would be our year's winner. The film is from the Dardenne Brothers, Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne. That would be Rosetta from France. It's like a French-Belgian co-production.
Belgium.
And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. A little kitchen sink realism, a little slice of life. You know, we know the type of movie that this one is, but I'm excited to hear.
This is a Dardenne Brothers movie. It is very a social realist film that is quite dark and depressing.
Yes, yes, it is. We talked about a Dardenne Brothers film a long time ago. I just wanted to, given that there aren't very many repeat.
Last year?
Yeah, it was a good long time ago. That would be La Enfant, which got a 7.7. The Child. I like saying French words.
You added a couple syllables there.
A couple vowel sounds in there, but yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, so that one got that's from a while ago. That is the other Dardenne Brothers film was at spot number 25, but the movie that we talked about last time, which is Nietzsche Nagar, that one ended up a lot lower, I believe. There it is. 5.9 was the score that it got. The placement is 43, so I recommend going and checking that one out if you are curious about Indian cinema, because it's your one and only chance to learn about that on this current
That's true.
version of the show.
Yes.
But yeah, Abram, I know I uploaded the last episode a little late, so do you have any comments that are worth reading?
We don't, and then so I said, okay, let's go over to the Moana live action movie trailer and find a comment on there to read.
Oh,
and they're not that incisive. They're just not that interesting.
Well,
There's no good jokes in here.
Hey, Abram, I'm on the ground right now. I'm getting word that there is now a comment on the Nietzsche Nagar video.
Oh, okay. You're getting that.
I wonder who that could be.
I wonder who.
Hold on.
You check that out. You read that out.
Okay, we just got a comment here from Tanner Dykstra 579. Who says, and this is an interesting point to litigate here, folks. You guys ruined Quest because you went international. This is a great point.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
I want to humbly apologize to one person, but 6 accounts who watch Quest and feel this way. And to that person, I apologize.
The Discord member with many faces.
Yeah.
If this makes no sense to you,
good.
You're better off for not knowing.
You don't want to know. I'm cursed with this knowledge.
It could make sense if you join our Discord server.
That's
That's
right.
true. Link in the description.
Link down below. Let's link up with this movie Rosetta and talk about it. Tanner, what's the plot of Rosetta from 1999?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Timo, because I pulled I think you've all pulled this in some fashion or another, but it's been a long time since I was, last to the pool in terms of watching the Quest movie. I finished this about half an hour ago. I'm usually
I got you beat by like 30 minutes then.
Oh, okay, all right.
I had about an hour before recording that I was chilling.
Okay. So this is fresh in my mind, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, this is a film that takes place in contemporary to when the film came out, 90s Belgium. We follow a young girl named Rosetta who is she is impoverished. Her and her mother live basically in a trailer at a campground somewhere outside of the closest city to them. And she basically has to look after herself and her mother. She's very much struggling to hold down a job. Things just don't seem to be going her way. Meanwhile, her mother is an alcoholic and is dealing with all sorts of other mental health and addiction issues. The film is largely concerned with Rosetta's search for employment and, I guess, companionship on a certain level as well, and how those things in a capitalist society where everybody is competing against one another just for the opportunity to maybe get by, how success and companionship can butt up against each other, and maybe they can't coexist if you really want to try and get ahead. So yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the exact intricacies of what goes on here, but it's very much a moment to moment sitting in Rosetta's sort of headspace in her depression and in her sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Her sadness about the state of the world and the state of her life, I guess.
Tucker, what are your first impressions on this Rosetta movie?
Uh, I like it. I think that what grounds me in this film's particular social frustration, someone who is having a difficult time with their life, who is being who is struggling within the social systems we have established, is how she has a unique set of not only priorities, because her personality I think is very different from that of what I've seen with any movie, but also she has these habits that she has. She's got these little strategies. She's got these little techniques to help herself get through her day, and she has this little a branch tied around a thing that lets her get through a fence, and she has she just has all these tiny little situations she's created for herself that are ways that she can help herself and help her life be just a tiny bit better. And that kind of focus and dedication, I think, is really, really fascinating to see in the character that oscillates between pretty in control of all right, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna do that, X, Y, and Z. And then also she has quite a temper. And so watching this character kind of flip-flop between being kind of very planning oriented and trying to take steps and precautions to make her life better, and then having those consistently foiled, and then seeing her, I think, very reasonable frustration kind of explode out of her, makes for a really unique, intense character to follow. I think that on a very subjective level, I am not totally sold in this movie because it is, while it is that is for me kind of all it is. There's not really a ton going on with the supporting cast. There's not a lot of exploration of what the social structures here are. It's very much slice of life. We're dropped in, not a lot of context of her previous life or relationships or things like that. And I think I would have maybe wanted a little bit more about the culture that she's a part of, and the people she knows or things like that. But what we have here, I think, is very compelling and is centered around a unique character in a very compelling performance. So it definitely helped keep me engaged through. It's a very talking about a focused runtime as well. It's only 90 minutes, well, which I appreciated.
Abram, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought this was great. I think that there is this really sad moment in I'd say around the middle of the film when Rosetta is sort of lying in bed and she's sort of repeating this mantra to herself. And I think that the film succeeds the way that it does because our central performance is so strong, and because the things she wants in that mantra are so simple and so universal. She wants not to get left to the wayside, and I think that's such a powerful and heartbreaking idea. I think that the end of this film is one that's really going to be carried with me for a long time. I feel like there's certain movies we've watched for this iteration of Quest where I'm sort of burdened by them, and I don't really mean that as a positive or a negative, but just as a fact. I think about this film. I think about the film that, this is a really profound point until I forgot the name of the Bjork movie. Dancer in the Dark.
Dancer in the Dark. Yeah.
Thank you for answering your own question. There are these endings that I think feel so bleak, and that really stays with me. And I think that what the film does stylistically that I'm so interested in is that it has so much energy. It's so frantic. This shaky camera, this almost documentary quality at points where we're following Rosetta with these long, exhausting, energetic, embodied takes is contrasted against this larger plot structure and this larger place in Rosetta's life where there is no such forward momentum. There is only this sort of position she's trapped in, and yet we see it in this very energetic way. And I think that dissonance makes where the film ends all the more heartbreaking. No matter this energy that we watch Rosetta expend, she doesn't go anywhere. I think this is a very, very powerful and a very, very well executed film.
I'm gonna jump in here, Tanner. You can go after
Go
me.
for it.
I kind of found myself frustrated by this film, to be honest. Like the lot of the stuff that Abram you pointed out as being positives and things that you like about it actually left a little bit of a harder to kind of grasp taste in my mouth, if I may put three metaphors into a bowl and mix
Yeah,
them
mix
up.
your metaphors a little bit.
And but that the style of the film is very energetic, and yet our plot is very I don't know, not all that there isn't a lot of like there are things happen in the movie, but as you say, like we end in almost the same situation that we begin the film. I think that's what the film maybe is even arguing, that Rosetta as this character is my in on the like kind of narrative level of this film. And I am heartbroken by her. She is a very interesting character that both is, I think, acting rationally and acting in ways that like, yeah, your life sucks, so you're going to be making some extreme and difficult choices. And she also acts very irrationally too, in ways in which she makes choices that are in the moment. The film later explains them, but they're baffling to me. I'm just like, why? Why would you do this? Like, what is going through your head, girl? Like, come on. And then so I'm kind of like in a state of all these things could be building up to like a very great emotional climax, but to me it doesn't quite get as far as some of the other films that we've seen in this oeuvre, like The Child, and like Ken Loach's or what is it, I, Daniel Blake.
Yeah.
That those films are like punching me in the gut, and so this one isn't quite such a hard hit in my experience, and so I almost wanted it to be more devastating because I'm like, we're so close here, but I need some even more emotionality from our characters, and yeah, but like you said, performance is really good. I think cinematography is good despite it being I would say like difficult to watch in how energetic it is, but that is clearly intentional. So I like that. Yeah, I got pluses and minuses on this one. I'll probably be working it out a bit more as we continue to talk.
Sure.
Tanner.
Timo, I like that you brought up the other two films that we've covered. Modern.
Well, and Dancer in the Dark also fits in this.
Dancer in the Dark, definitely. Dancer in the Dark is also a little bit more of a esoteric, auteur-driven sort of thing where we are stepping outside the bounds of reality. If we want to take these three films, the three films that you mentioned, this one, The Child, and then I, Daniel Blake, into conversation, I think it's interesting to consider all of them together as sort of portraits of poverty and people trying to fight their way out of it and trying to fight uphill against the system that is built against them, built to keep them on the outskirts, essentially. I think this film is unique, but also I think it is my least favorite of the three of them, even though I do like Rosetta quite a bit, because of Rosetta as our main character. In her being a child, not the child from The Child, of course. Perhaps a little bit backwards thinking there, but she's meant to be like maybe 15 or 16 in this movie. I was just looking up Emily Dequenne, the young actress, was 17 when the movie was made.
Yeah.
But I kind of get the feeling that she's supposed to be younger, and so her lashing out against the people around her and her actions, I feel, can be excused more, just because she is so inexperienced with the world, even though she seems quite capable. I just remember our conversation about, especially the father in L'Enfant, about how he's like, why does he just frustrates you? Because why does he keep fucking up in these ways? But with Rosetta, it is a lot more of a sad journey for her because she is trying so hard
and earnestly.
And quite earnestly, and she only has these moments where she has her tantrums, if you want to call them that, after like 6 things go wrong and she is kicked all the way back to square one. You're like, yeah, she's a kid. She's going to be really frustrated because she doesn't understand these things because they don't make any sense to me to anybody. So yeah, I guess in that way, I'm sort of interested to talk about her as the central figure of this story. The Dardennes choosing a young girl to be the central figure of this, and still heaping all of this societal rot onto her.
Mm-hmm. Tucker, do you have an area that you want to launch us off into the land of thinking with?
Yeah, I think that as I was listening to you guys talk about your thoughts on it, what I found most interesting about the difference between something like this or I, Daniel Blake, or The Child, is that the social pressures that the social like blockages, the blockades that she keeps running up against, they're not as, at least what we see in this movie. The implication is there that there are larger social pressures at work, but what we see in this movie is not um, they're not structural failings. They're in some way almost more interpersonal, in that
Fair
the
point.
the barriers she keeps coming up against are specific small business owners not giving her a job, or not understanding her plight, and not empathizing with her. She The one example of a more like structural thing, a more societal thing, like governmental, that she runs up against is that uh she can't get unemployment because she hasn't worked for long enough,
Mhm.
which is an interesting, like, brings up some questions, but
Mhm.
that's really only for a little bit at the beginning. So then most of the rest of the movie is her continually trying to get jobs at small businesses, trying to go to the grocery store or a pawn shop or this
Mhm.
waffle stand that she works at. And the jobs that she continually gets fired from are more just businesses of people that are like also like trying their hardest. They're not out to get her. Like it creates this really uncomfortable situation in which, and I think this actually in some ways might even make this hit a little bit harder for me than something like I, Daniel Blake, which is a movie I liked, but I have not personally thought about too much. But is that in this one, it almost feels like the failing is on us as the people, not
Mhm.
not the structure we're put into. Because if the litany of people that she tries to work for, she does some work for, or the people who turn her away, if they had listened to her, if they had gotten to know her a little bit better, if they had given her that second chance, and she wouldn't be in this run of situations. It's not because she had to fill out a million layers of paperwork, or because the police were after her, or because of X, Y, and Z. It was literally because she's in this position because of a series of people who do not connect with her. They kind of glance off of her. And that makes it even more frustrating, because of course there's the frustration of like, man, the
Mhm.
government is doing these things, the laws are structured in this way, but this is more of like even the people can cause other people to not be able to get anywhere in life.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the person I think about in this film, to jump off from that, is the Rosetta's mother. Her
Yes.
as like, okay, you're gonna look at how somebody is. Well, a good place to begin that is looking at what their family is like, and we're introduced to her in a very like, well, how she just kind of, in my mind, she pops up in the film, and it's pretty clear immediately like what the relationship between Rosetta and her mother is. In that her mother is like unconcerned with their situation, not looking for a way to move up in life, living with her alcoholism, and with, seemingly performing sex acts for money or for favors from the men that have power over her in her life. And this is all really like that life path, I think, that her mother has been on, and is at least this point that she's at in the middle of the movie, is something that Rosetta really, really does not want. And she kind of feels this like youth versus what could I become? Well, what could I become? I think it's right there. And I really don't like it. And I really have to, take care of her. She, at the end of the film, that heartbreaking scene where she gets back and her mother's just like completely passed out, and she's just got to get her back inside the trailer. And so the people in this film that are like all kind of flawed, and where, you know, at times they're hard to understand, and at times I think they're very easy to understand. And the mother is a good example of that. And I think the prime one for, if we're going to understand who Rosetta is, we look at her, and then we want to understand some more about Rosetta, we look how she interacts with the boss and with Riquette, and so on and so forth.
Something that I think is also a driving force of the film is Rosetta's sort of dogged determination, not only towards like holding down a job, like that is the immediate sort of goal that she has, but on a broader level, it is that she just wants like a normal, dignified life. That is, I mean, it's
Exactly,
something
yeah.
that she says in her sort of her affirmations, or the call and response sort of affirmations that she has to
Mhm.
do for herself, is that she wants a normal life. And I think, Tucker, your point about what where we got started here about, you know, how they are people that we are fighting against, which of course in things like I, Daniel Blake, it is people as, you know, sort of arms or heads, faces of this, but the broken system. Whereas yes, with Rosetta, it is these like small business owners effectively, whom who they are also just trying to get by. And they
Mhm.
have their little piece of life that, you know, Rosetta can look at and see like, that is what I want. That is a normal life. That is, they're doing real honest work, and that is what I want for myself. And these people, you know, because I guess you could say because of the system that they are within, of the system that we are all within, you know, you are incentivized to sort of play it safe, you know, not let, you know, just not hire the exact number of people that you need, maybe not give people a lot of chances, etc. Give not hand out any charity. And Rosetta doesn't want that charity. That's something that I found really interesting across the entire
Mhm.
film as well, that she refuses charity, she refuses the welfare system. She wants to get there on her own because that is what everyone around her seemingly has done. They've made it out for themselves. They've
Mhm.
started this business by themselves, and now they have that normal, dignified life that she is hunting after.
Yeah, I think the film is interested in these interpersonal relationships, but I don't think it's interested in putting the blame
Yeah.
for Rosetta's life at the feet of them. I think if anything, the film is interested in sort of the failings of this ideal world wherein you can just rely on the person next to you to get what you need.
Sure.
I think that there's this really interesting, almost throwaway through line in the film that I thought was interesting, which is the price of rent.
Mhm.
We know that Rosetta has to pay 500 francs to the guy who runs the RV park as rent to be there.
Hmm.
When she meets Riquette later, and they're in the place that she could potentially rent, he makes an offhand comment about how the rent there is not that much. It's less than he paid. It's less than 5,000 francs a month. So we don't know the exact amount, but you know it's a multitude higher than where she lives at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And in all of these ecosystems, right, there are these people who are taking advantage. You have this guy who runs the trailer park that is, taking sexual favors from Rosetta's mother in exchange for what, it's exactly unclear. There's an implication from Rosetta that her mother is just like interested in sex and not much else.
Mm.
The film is very subjective, so we don't know exactly the status of the mother, but we have this person that's obviously not on the up and up running the trailer park. We have this boss who is participating in blatant, embarrassing nepotism to give his son a job. When he in some way fucks up and comes back home and has to work, and Rosetta loses her job 3 days after getting it. We have this character who's so imperiled. Her means are so far below what a character like Riquette would think is reasonable. And her way out, as she sees it through this subjective perspective, is to sort of obtain the status or position of these people who are not good people. And she's put in this position where the way that she ends up succeeding or trying to succeed is by completely fucking over the guy next to her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that the film is very much interested in these interpersonal issues, but not in a vacuum, but in the context of the system that Tanner is mentioning. And the real lack of security or welfare or support for anybody who is in this situation. And it's made even more damning by the fact that I don't think Rosetta realizes that, to the contrary to your point, Tanner. She very much wants something official. She wants an above-the-counter job, as she was saying. She doesn't want to get paid on the side for hawking the off-the-books waffles. Even if she'd be making, again, thinking about the few figures we know, 15,000 francs. She'd be making an unfathomable living comparison to what she has now. That's not what she wants. She wants this false ideal of security and normalcy. And I think that the film is interested in exposing that idea.
Yeah. And I'm gonna add something to it, that Rosetta is a character who is deeply ashamed of her situation. And she doesn't ever say it, but this is a point that Tucker was talking about during your initial thoughts, I think. But all these little techniques and these little, like, that she doesn't go through the front door to the trailer park. She fishes with the trout lines for a little supplemental nutrition. She has the shoes that are nice that she wears in the city, but she hides the galoshes in the dugout.
Yeah.
All of that is very indicative of shame, and that she's ashamed of being the way she is, and that her motivation and her drive to want to be out of this place, I think, comes from the imposition of the system. As you guys are talking about, she sees these other lives of other people and wants that for herself, compares it directly to her own situation, forgetting, of course, that there's like a bunch of trailers in this trailer park, and there's a bunch of people that live there. She's not alone in this situation at all. There's plenty of other people that are identical, at least in living spot and likely economic situation, and yet she is the one who is unable to walk through the front gates, and she's got to take the bus route and gets off the bus at some weird spot and runs across the road. And when the campground manager catches her, she brushes him off completely. Just I'm not even going to engage with you about this, because her ways and that shame is so deep within her that I think that is really guiding a lot of her actions and thinking about herself, really. And that's why the scene we talked about in which she's crying, laying in bed and trying to affirm to herself her own normalcy is the thing that belies this inner turmoil in her character.
There is one of the earliest notes in the film that sort of clues you into exactly who Rosette is and how she thinks. Is obviously our opening scene is a very chaotic, her running around this factory of who knows what they make or whatever, but she's
getting
lost
fired.
her temp job effectively, and then the boss keeps leaning back on well, you never really had a full-time job here. It was a trial period. It was this, it was that.
Yeah, and she's what the hell?
Her employers
and critically, she keeps saying, I was good at the job.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a meritocratic. She thinks it's a meritocratic decision, but it's not.
Exactly. Well, her employers across the entire film always kind of lean back on those sort of it's not me. It's just how things work out ultimately.
Despite them, they're the boss. They
exactly.
pull strings and make things happen for other people in the film.
But so we open on that, obviously, that very chaotic sequence, and then she goes home to the campground to see her mother planting flowers out in front of their trailer, to brighten up the scenery, the way that they are living. And her immediate reaction to seeing that is, don't plant those flowers. We're not staying here. She has just lost her job, basically their main form of income outside of some side gigs, some side hustles that she has going, and she is doesn't matter. We're still not staying here. I'll figure something out.
We must be moving upward.
That youthful sort of drive that she has, that in the scope of the film is delusional ultimately, and it's a tragedy that she has these delusions, but she has them nonetheless. So yeah. I that was just one of the one of the very first things that I jotted down.
You don't even.
I know exactly what's going down.
And there's one step farther there in which she catches her mom with some fish that was like given to her
Yes,
by
that's
and
immediately after that. It was like,
Yeah,
we
like
don't take charity either.
yeah, and yeah.
I would say that maybe this is just an interesting reading of emotion and how emotions can be parallel. But I see her main driver not as shame, but as pride. I think
Hmm.
she's too proud of a person to accept charity. She's too proud of a person to admit that this is a struggle that she has, or take charity, or even like lean on someone else.
Mhm.
I think that I agree that there is an element of pride. Maybe pride and shame are really just two
I
sides
think
of
they
the
kind of
same
might
coin.
be.
I would
But-
make that argument. Yeah.
But I think that her self-confidence, despite everything, reads to me more as prideful to a fault. I think that her pride causes her to have a litany of situations where, again, if we're uh, seeing this movie as kind of a textual interaction between the societies people are placed in and the ways that their personalities cause other people or even themselves to have struggles, I think that her personality also is part of what causes her downfall in some of these situations, in that she's too proud to take assistance. She's too proud to have these things. And that interplay, I think, it furthers her frustration, because I think that because to the point of her mother has ostensibly given up, but her mother will still take charity, will still try to plant the flowers, these things. She's more accepting of the life that she's been dealt, that she's currently in. Whereas Rosetta, Rosetta, her mother, her dynamic with her mother, we really need to get into. I think it's one of the most interesting elements of this film.
Mhm.
But Rosetta plays this really interesting line with her mom where she sometimes takes steps to just make her mom's life worse. Like she's just like slapping her around, like no, we need to not do this, like digging up the flowers, like all this stuff. Like they're about to eat this dinner that she got from charity from someone else. She's like, no, we can't do that. Like there is this like really interesting frustration that causes these interpersonal glancing blows of different people trying to improve their lives in different ways. And well, I mean, obviously, I mean, to your point, this movie being so subjective, we only see this through the lens of Rosetta, but she has such a specific mindset that she can't even really admit that there are other ways that she could improve her life, whether that is through taking charity, being more accepting of help from others, or even that sometimes it's her personality that causes her struggles to be worsened or heightened.
I think you're totally right to invoke the relationship with the mother, Tucker, because I think that that's very key. Because I mean, one structure that fails Rosetta in particular in this film is family, or role models of any kind. She has nobody. There's again, if we return to her mantras, one of the things in there is that she made a friend, and I think sort of the implication there is that without Rosetta, that friendship is obviously very tenuous at best. She has nobody, right? And to your point about the relationship with the mother, to even go beyond the moments you shared already, I think about when she's trying to get her mother to. My implication as a viewer was that the mother was going off to some kind of rehab program.
Yeah.
And in her mother's refusal to do that, they end up in this game of chase that does not feel like a parent-child dynamic.
We end up in a game of chase a number of times in this film. That is a prime Rosetta strategy for dealing with something, is just book it.
It's not just a Rosetta strategy. This is a Dardenne Brothers character's strategy, because this is one of the moments that most reminded me of something that we would have seen in The Child, is these characters that, rather than talking through their feelings or handling things in a more logical way,
they just book
immediately spiral. And there's a lot of physicality here. The moment when what's the guy's name? Riquette. When Riquette shows up and they like end up like scuffling on the ground, and I'm like, number one, I'm like, what the hell is happening? But then I'm like,
you're like,
didn't I see this scene in The Child? What the heck?
yeah. When they
they
fight on like that gravel pile or whatever. Yeah.
There's this sort of infantile quality, right, to her mother at times that puts a sort of an interesting extra dimension into Rosetta's character, as far as that she has to be a parent for her parent, but she doesn't have the skills to do so,
Yeah.
right? You know, you
Yeah.
often think of this child as parent character as somebody who has a kind of wisdom or an intellectual or emotional maturity kind of beyond their age.
Mhm.
I don't actually think that's the case with Rosetta in these behaviors we're talking about. And so I think that's, again, this challenge. The film sort of challenges us to stay very close to the perspective of this character, who in many ways falls outside of a lot of different structures. It's not simply economic or cultural, it's also familial. And I think it's extremely sad that ultimately it's the return of her mother that pushes her to the suicide attempt that I want to talk more about in particular. But I think you're totally right, Tucker. The relationship with the mother, I think, is a real key to understanding this other very sad side of the narrative that we're trying to portray here about what happens when all kinds of structures fail.
Yeah. I think it all for me just kind of goes back to, the ideas of pride and shame, the idea that, Rosetta, is she delusional, is she driven, like what defines her is that she has bought into something that is not explicitly said or shown, or I guess maybe even the implication, of course, because of the realism of the film, but it's never made text in the movie, I feel. The idea that people are ashamed to take help, whether that be charity from somebody else, whether that be government welfare, whatever form it might take, that like there is something intrinsic to like the Western individualism, that we're like, well, I can do it. I can do it on my own. I can do it on my own, and I will. I will put. I don't need any friends. I can put my mother on my back. I can earn the job. I can run around town. I can do all these side hustles. I can fish. I can deal with, I can basically corral my mother into stopping being an alcoholic and trading sex favors for money. I can do all of it, and I can fight my way out of this and bring her with me, basically. It like goes deeper than she is the parental figure in the family. She is like the figurehead, the face of like them as a unit that she tries to drag her mother up with her, force her into rehab, what have you. She tries to make all of these decisions because those are the stepping stones that she has been told, and we have been told as people, to a successful and dignified life.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question here? Open question.
Go for it.
How does all this character work we've talked about intersect with the style of the film and the way that it's shot?
I know from moment one that we're inside her head because of this. I'm thinking we didn't use much more than a 65 millimeter lens. We're very zoomed in the whole time. Your eyes remember about 50 millimeters in 35 whatever.
Well,
Who gives a shit?
There's no establishing shot or anything.
There's no
like that.
establishing shot. There's
of like
really
here's
few
the
wide
city,
shots.
here's the building. There's just like, okay, we are running through like a hallway, a back hallway in a factory, and
we
Rosetta,
are going to
she's running and
focus
screaming
on Rosetta. It's the back of her head so that we can read her body movement, or it's the front of her head so that we can read her face. Like these are the mode by which immediately in this first scene, and then once we, you're like, it's a very arresting scene right at the beginning, and then we do get a little bit of like a break, at least in the tension when we're going home, but you're still filled with questions. I'm like, what? I'm like, where's she going? Like, I'm thinking, oh crap, like she's like really homeless, like she's living in a tent or something in the woods, and then it's not quite like that, but the filmmaking is pulling me right along into her head, and in a sense of confusion, and that my worldview is narrow, that I don't have a lot of ideas for what's outside of kind of like what's immediately in front of me, and what's right around Rosetta, and what can she do, what is she seeing, and it's very narrow in my opinion. I mean, it literally is in how it's shot, but that transcends to what the film is about.
Yeah. There's something else. Oh, well, I mean, there's just also just plenty of first person perspective. I think basically kind of any time that we see her mother getting caught with the head or the owner of the campground, It's always a shot of like we're tracking Rosetta as she walks up to whatever shack or building or whatever. She throws open the door, and then the camera shifts basically directly into her POV as we see what was going down in there, or what was about to go down in there. That happens a number of times, and there's also plenty of sitting around or sitting and just looking at Rosetta's face or looking at the face of Deken as she contemplates any number of things, any decision that she has made or is going to make that makes some pretty monumental shifts in her relationships or her ability to get a job or not, or quit her job as she does at the very end of the film. There is just long stretches where we just watch her face as she contemplates these things.
Yeah. What do you?
Yeah, I like.
Go ahead, Abram.
I like everything you guys said, but I think for me the main takeaway from this style is just sort of what I was mentioning at the very beginning. I just think there's something very interesting about a camera that feels this active for a character who feels so trapped, and I feel like it's kind of irregular, when I think of movies I love that feel very frantic. I'm thinking about. They're on top of the brain right now. Of course, because one of them is going to appear in the Mario movie, the Safdie brothers.
Naturally,
love a very frantic filmmaking, right? But you think about a film like Good Time, and there's a real sense of propulsion to that story. But this is not a story with much propulsion, and to the point that Tucker was making earlier, that Timo was talking about, these sort of rituals in Rosetta's life. We're grounded by those to where this feels super cyclical. It feels almost like we're doing the same day over and over again because she lives such a narrow routine, and because, as you guys are saying, we're seeing it through her eyes. We're trapped, and you can feel like the sense of inertia, like, oh my goodness, I have all this energy in me, I have this desire in me, I want to get myself and my mother to this place of acceptability. I'm gonna do it today, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, I'm gonna do it every day, I'm gonna fight for this, but I'm not moving forward very much. I think that just does a lot for me as a viewer. I think it really gives me the sense of dread as I'm watching. I think it's extremely affecting in that way.
Yeah, I think, again, one of the big parts that makes this movie as engaging as it is that we talk about her and how focused she is, how determined she is, how prideful she is, but she also, as Tanner mentioned earlier, but I think that it's a good time to talk about the frustration in her character that comes out in very specific and pretty, especially for her, harmful ways. The breakdowns that she has, the reactions that to some degree you would say are not overreactions, but given the situation that she's in, it often feels that like she's reacting in a way that is unbecoming to her, or that is making her situation worse in some way. But because we are seeing her life alongside her, we understand that she largely is pretty good at keeping things tamped down and taking a deep breath and focusing and just moving on to the next place and talking to the next person. And, she goes and she's like, can I get a job? Can I get unemployment? They tell her no. She says, okay. And she walks out. She doesn't freak out every time. But then the times when she does makes it even more, it hits even harder because we know that she's capable of keeping things bottled up. And not necessarily that it is a good thing, but the only outlet she has, because she doesn't have anyone to talk to, she doesn't have any friends, and she's in this cycle, is to let the steam out like once every 5 or 6 failed job opportunities and like completely explode. And those scenes are, I think, some of the most uncomfortable in the whole movie because you know why she's doing it. You're like, man, I really wish she wouldn't do this. I know it's making it worse for her. But you can't blame her for what she's doing. It's this really, really weird situation the movie creates.
How do you factor her friend Raquette into all of these discussions? Given we spoke a little bit about her betrayal of him to her own in their self-seeking, but that he is kind and she accepts limited charity from him, and she asks him for help. With a new pair of boots and all that. What do you make? How does his character fit into y'all's reading of the film?
Well, I mean, he is pretty intrinsic to her arc in the film. Obviously, he is the one friend that she makes, as she literally says. And he's the one who is there for her. He is the one who extends a helping hand and lets her crash at his apartment. After her mom just runs away into the woods after their argument, and she's just like, okay, like I guess I have to, like I can't go home because that just seems. I guess that's an interesting decision. She could have gone back to their trailer, but she decides against it. She decides.
She says
to
she
go
doesn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, which emotionally, as like as a symbolic gesture, I suppose that makes sense. That maybe this is she thinks her mom has run off, so she's like, "Am I on my own now? I guess so. Like, I need a place to stay. Let's go to Riquette." And I think their scene together is like pretty cute, and like Riquette is almost trying to do a meet cute first date scene, while Rosetta is in an entirely different movie than he is in effectively. Where he's like trying to impress her, being like, here's some gymnastics moves I know. Here's my band that sucks.
Here's my A+ drumming skills.
And he's like, oh, see, like this is the part in the feel good movie where we dance around and the music takes over and there's a montage. See, we can do this. And she's like, no, like I am in an immense amount of pain right now. That we see she has these her period cramps that she soothes with like a hair dryer or whatever. But you imagine that they are sort of amplified by stress and things like that. When she's like, no, I can't do that. I have to go. I just have to go lay down. And that's where she makes these affirmations. And she does make that friend, but I think the dark night of the heart point in her arc is when she sees that window of opportunity. Which is a fork in the road that Riquette does not know that he has just created for himself, where she can either take his offer to sell take a cut of the cash for the under the table waffles that he is selling, or the path that she sees and the one that she chooses is sell Riquette out, rat him out, and take his job. The real throat cutting, I'll fuck you, I get mine sort of capitalist mindset, and that's the decision that she makes.
It exposes that there's a hierarchy between the job and the friend. And I think that that's a really hard thing to accept as a viewer. And that's where I think the subjectivity of the narrative becomes tricky, because I feel like my relationship to Rosetta is really strained as a viewer by this choice.
This is the one I was talking about, where I'm like, why? I'm like, what the hell, girl? Why are you doing this?
And that's how proud she is.
Yeah, it feels all the more sort of hopeless that for her, the picture of this sort of dignified life she can make for herself must involve, above the friend, above anything else, this above the table job. And I think that recognition is harsh, because it's not presented in the narrative as something that she really has to toil over all that hard. She heads to the factory, she finds the boss, and says, look, this guy's been ripping me off.
She hesitates for a moment, for a couple beats, I would say. But no, she does ultimately, yes, knock on the door and say what's up.
It just doesn't feel to me, unless maybe I missed something you guys missed, it doesn't feel like she labors over that choice especially strongly.
No, because she is very set in her ways. That's her pride. And one of the ways in which she's set is that, to the point of not wanting an under the table job, is that she wants to be legit. And so she's not in The Child, actually, we see kind of the exact opposite of this, in which the main male protagonist is willing to do anything other than get a serious job, other than commit to a relationship. He will sell his child to just get ahead just that little extra bit. I'm just my memories of that movie are flooding back. Like, oh, that guy will do literally anything except for like do something that's more above the board. But her fault is that, and maybe it's her pride, maybe it's her youthful naivete, but is that she, in the eyes of society and the goals of being a good and honorable, contributing to society person, she is overly, given her situation, overly committed to idealizing, to living to the ideals of these things, of that she won't even take side money, she won't take an under the table job, like these things that we have seen, and of course happens in the real world as well. Many people who are having struggles in life, it is a way to get ahead in life and to improve your situation is to go against what society tells you should do. But this movie presents it in a more uncomfortable and I think frankly more realistic way of that. Yes, that is her ideal. She wants to live to that, but if she was willing to break that just a little bit, her life would probably be better. And the choices that she makes make her a, like, I don't know if they frustrate her, because I don't know if she realizes that, but she's just such a compelling character because of that like distinction and the difference from other characters, other like poverty-stricken characters we've seen.
Here's what I'll say on that. I think that she has the proclivity towards security that everybody has. Like it's exactly what I mentioned earlier. She sees an opportunity just because of the world that she has experienced for basically her entire, cognizant life. Like, she sees that opportunity. She sees her chance to take Riquette's job, much like her job was taken from her. She's like, that's the way of the world. That's how it goes. Like, I have an in. Fuck you, I get mine, because that is what the world has said to me every day of my life since I was old enough to walk, basically, since I was old enough to, sell the hand-me-down clothes that my mother patches up to a charity shop. And so that's why she takes that decision. I think, I mean, it's a tough decision to watch the protagonist of your film make, but ultimately, I'm like, I think it's also a matter of like Riquette, as I mentioned earlier, is kind of in a different movie. He's kind of the main character of his own movie, where this girl that he maybe kind of likes just rocks up to the waffle shop that he works at one day, and then she stabs him in the back from his perspective, and then he goes on to like torment her. Basically, there's one moment that I want to talk about, a line that he has, but ultimately he like walks back up to the waffle stand to like pity her and guilt trip her, and then at the very end of the film he is like zooming around on his shitty little motorcycle, like tormenting her with his presence effectively. Like the weight of the decision that she makes weighs down on her, which is why I feel that shame is more the motivator for her, that shame is the defining aspect of that, because she is not assured in the decision after she makes it. She is racked with guilt for the entire rest of the movie.
She loves to peer out from around a corner. This is a key Rosetta behavior. She loves to peek out behind a wall. And you're right. She's not someone that moves sort of through the world after that point with the confidence. And now whether that's partially because she's afraid of him or shameful of him or all of the above, I think you're right. And I think, for this story to really work, she has to make that choice. I don't get angry with her because the choice doesn't make sense. I get angry with her because it's hard to watch somebody make that choice. And I think that the film, and I've mentioned a couple of times, but I think to put a more fine point on it, I think that the film sort of puts us in an interesting position, in an interesting distance from Rosetta and the world of the film as a viewer, where there's a real tension here, where I think I kind of go from rooting for Rosetta to being disillusioned by the world that she lives in. And I think that that's a sort of an interesting journey to be taken on. Because you have to some degree feel for him as well. Obviously, he's scamming a little bit on the side, but I think that the film asks us to answer, do we care that he's doing that? And for me, the answer is no. I don't really care if this guy gets a little bit of money skimmed off the top from his waffle joint, right? I think that there's this idea, to your point, Tanner, that the world has been created for Rosetta in a way that a lack of solidarity is just simply the way that you live. And I think that as an audience member, now obviously I'm coming to it with the baggage and perspective of that solidarity with people in your class is important, right? But so maybe that's framing my reading of a film like this.
Stop
but
that.
But I think that there is a degree to which you kind of want to like grab both of them and be like, look at what you're doing to each other.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Work together, not against each other.
Because even to your point, when he's tormenting her at the end, he's tormenting her as he doesn't know why he doesn't know why she wants that thing of gas, but nonetheless, he could be helping carry it.
Yeah.
He could at least not be like flying little annoying circles around her on the bike. I think that everybody just sort of becomes
Stop
ugly.
being annoying. Help her kill herself. Come on.
Come on now.
Class solidarity.
You're absolutely right, Abram. In that, is that the true trickle down economics is everyone just gets meaner and crueler to one another and is only out for themselves.
What do we think of this suicide ending or attempted suicide ending?
It was not clear to me immediately that was what she was intending to do, but I see what you guys how you make that. Because if it's not suicide, it's kind of baffling. Like she quits the job.
It's definitely trying to asphyxiate herself.
Yes. And so, I mean, I think it's very tragic the way that we're not shown it, and that this guy that the campground owner that screwed her and her mother over for God knows how many years gets one final act of not doing the wrong thing, being unhelpful. So I don't know if I have a lot of thoughts about it because it wasn't like super clear to me when I was watching, but
there is one moment that I think is just a really good reminder that, like, in the classic, the symbol of the theater, as it were, the mask of tragedy and the mask of comedy, that they are, again, two sides of the same coin in a way. When she lays down and you just hear the whistle of the gas or whatever, and then it just stops, you're like, I mean, there is something like deeply like darkly what's the, like ironic about that, I guess is the word I'd be looking for there, is that like she doesn't even have the money and resources to kill herself. Like there is something
her
so
poverty
dark
is what's
about
driving her to commit suicide, and it also ultimately is what stops her from
it's inescapable in any way. It's inescapable entirely.
Exactly. It's the final indignity that she has to be like, fuck, I have to go buy another thing of gas to kill myself. God damn it. And that is the closing minutes of the film, is her like
not only to kill herself,
Sisyphean like dragging the tank of gas back to the trailer so she can kill her and her mother.
Yeah, that's an important note, is that she's also planning to end both of their lives.
Right.
By asphyxiating them both, as her mother is completely passed out from
alcohol, probably.
Which is an interesting note. I mean, but what I will say is I think that this is all very textually interesting. I think that the movie just ends after that, just kind of stops. Takes a lot of the wind out of sails for me, because there's not the time and the character work or the writing or even the performance time for us to explore the weight of the decision that she has made, and the fact that she now is going to live with it, isn't. I don't know. The movie has an ambiguous and quick ending.
Good question.
Yeah. I'm not as much a fan for a movie that is as confident in its writing, character writing as it is, to leave us on an ambiguous note, I think definitely lessens the impact of this movie for me, because I like the sequence leading up to it, but after the annoying fly Rosetta just buzzes around, she falls over, she cries, and then she stands up. She looks at him. That calms her down maybe a little bit. I don't know what to read into that last character interaction that is less aggressive, but I'm not a fan of like the last 90 seconds or whatever.
I see.
Mhm.
I guess I am looking at, as the entire film asks you to do, is just look at Deken as the central actress of the entire work. And so in that, like I am studying her face in that last look, and to me, it's a little bit of a look of I guess I just gotta keep trying. Like I don't think
Sure.
I don't read that look as, and I'm still going to kill myself and my mother. I think it is a little bit more of a defiant look in that last moment.
I think the way I take it is, to Tanner's point, this inescapable reality she's in, that's the point. I think that for as much as this film is specific about Rosetta, it is also, as we've been talking about it, a beautiful specific illustration of a universal phenomenon of this poverty. And I think that leaving us in this moment where suddenly she doesn't know what's next. If we're talking about how she's assured or dogmatic in her belief of what she has to do for her and her mother to this point, even to your point, Timo, immediately, okay, mom's back. Well, I gotta go. I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna go quit the job and I'm gonna kill us both. Now we're confronted with this moment where she couldn't do it for all the reasons I think Tanner laid out really eloquently, this real irony in not being affluent enough to be able to end your own life. Being left in this moment now of panic and insecurity, and this sort of reckoning with the complete sort of disaster that she sits at the eye of the storm of, I think is heartbreaking in a way that is complete. I also think that if we're taking this again as something that can be extrapolated out and is not simply Rosetta's life, but a life that many people live that we happen to see through Rosetta's eyes, it doesn't have such a simple ending. And I think that there's a way that it becomes quite insidious at the end to that story, is you might as well just kill yourself. I think that the film is interested in something more real and not as heightened as the suicide. And I think that the suicide being foiled is actually a heavier and a more complicated ending than if she were to die.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't. Well, I've appreciated listening to this because it's like I'm kind of like, how? What was I paying attention to at this part of the movie? Like,
sure.
I also just really like. I think it's a really smart choice to have her last meal and all she has is a hard-boiled egg. That's all they have.
Yeah.
And even just this little funny ritual of
Cracking
whacking
the
the egg
egg
on her forehead.
Yeah.
Like that is what she has right before she thinks she's going to die is so sad.
One
Like
single
I think this film does.
No salt, no mustard, no nothing. We put on the
it's not even deviled.
It's not even deviled.
not even deviled.
But I think that there's something really. I think that this film speaks.
Put mustard on a hard-boiled egg?
It's mayo, isn't it?
Sure.
It's mustard and mayo to make a deviled egg.
I think so. I think it's both.
Yeah.
And cayenne.
It's certainly yellow.
It's yellow.
And look,
So is egg.
paprika on that
Oh,
too.
paprika is what I meant.
Egg is yellow, Tanner. That's very interesting. I wonder what happened.
Egg
Did they
is
put?
yellow.
How do they get the mustard in there? The shell is closed.
Very carefully. You gotta do it very carefully.
Well, if you open an egg, the mustard's in there. That's what.
That's what I'm saying.
It's yellow.
How'd they get it in there?
It already
Well,
was.
that
Like a
happens
needle?
only if you feed your chickens mustard seeds. There was
You guys
one last.
want to?
No, there's Tucker.
score?
Unfortunately, we got silly a little bit, 1 second too
God
early because
damn it.
there's one. The line I said I was going to talk about is Riquette. After she has her first day taking his job at the waffle stand, and she walks away, and he's sort of like following her on his motorcycle. They have that confrontation on the bridge again, another physical altercation. To Tucker's point, We didn't talk. Well, I guess we didn't talk about at all the part where he falls in the river trying to retrieve her fish traps. And she considers not saving him, which is a little bit of a foreshadowing towards her taking his job. But then he affirms it like, you ultimately did save me. Like, she says, I wasn't going to do it, but he's like, but you did. And so it points to, like, she hasn't been completely worn down by the system. There is some still innate, like, I have to do the right and moral thing in this moment, obviously. I can't let this guy die right while I'm watching him. But I can take his job even though I feel really guilty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also have like the stickiest pond known to man.
Yes. Oh, it's so muddy. Fuck, it's so muddy.
I don't really understand.
Well, listen, I think
your galoshes is filled with water, you're pretty screwed.
I think it's mostly a production thing too. Tucker, I will also admit, I was thinking about this. I was like, they're not really doing a whole lot of like splashing or anything, but I'm just like, I suppose that if you're making a Dardenne Brothers film, you don't really hire like stunt doubles, do you? You don't really get like a down in the water. This guy they're
in there. Yeah.
Like,
they should have had vats of quicksand.
Yeah, I suppose they're probably just like, I don't know, just kind of like bob up and down in the water a little bit, and we'll just ADR like, oh no, I'm drowning. Anywho, you guys want some palm details?
Yeah, while we think about our scores.
At the 1999 Cannes Film Festival, good buddy, not friend of the show yet, by any stretch of the imagination, but hopefully one day, one way or another, the president of the Cannes jury this year was a little Canadian, a Canuck, by the name of David Cronenberg.
Oh, Cronenberg. Cronenbergian.
He's not gonna win. He's not gonna win the Cannes Film.
Well, what if he wins Best Picture someday? The Shroud, Best Picture for your consideration.
Did you see that? I saw that movie.
I like that one. I like it. Anyway, also on the jury this year, some other folks you've probably heard of, representing Australia, George Miller, and representing the US of A, Jeff Goldblum. I wonder what he thought of this. I guess I really liked the film about the poor, impoverished girl.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. God, Tucker, that is so true. That movie already came out.
I need a wicked for good line from Jeff Goldblum to make it really complete.
I
am the wizard.
You appear to be green.
I'm turning into a fly.
Peter.
Shut the hell up.
Okay.
Oh God, Jeff Goldblum as Lois Griffin in the live-action Family Guy movie.
The 21 other films in competition at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Notable submissions, films in competition were All About My Mother from Pedro Almodovar, Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai by Jim Jarmusch, one of the coolest movie titles ever. Just gotta say that. And David Lynch's The Straight Story.
The Straight Story.
That one should have won just for some
movie nowadays.
Just for some Iowa rep, in The Straight Story.
Iowa rep. Need more of that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Score time.
All right, I got a number in.
I got a number in.
I got a number
in.
3, 2, 1.
Bing,
boom.
bing, bing, ding, ding.
There we go. We've got a score 7.9. 7.9. Do we have a tie? We do have a tie. We are going to think about this movie versus another movie we like to think about. I'll hit you with what that tie is in a moment. Point breakdown is I gave it a 6.2, followed by Tanner gave it an 8. Tucker gave it an 8.2, and then Abram gave it a 9. So that averages 7.9. The film that we're thinking about, whether or not it goes above or below, is The Ballad of Narayama, one that we like to think about quite often, actually, as it turns out.
One of the very first that we ever covered on this series. I will go Ballad of Narayama.
Me too. I'm going to go Ballad of Narayama above Rosetta.
Let's say Rosetta.
I would go Rosetta.
And Tucker?
Rosetta.
You would go Rosetta. Oh,
you got yourself a dead heat.
You devious.
Okay, time to find the 6 people on the planet
That have seen both of these
both
two
Rosetta
movies.
and
Well, you know,
and
if push comes to shove, I in just putting my score, and I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse, I could be convinced to go Rosetta above. It is, you know,
if the P comes to the S.
yeah, exactly. If the S hits the F, you know.
Alrighty, we can accept that.
holy
Tanner,
shit.
you want to change? You want to change it? Okay.
No, that's fine.
I'll swap. I'll swap to the other
Just-
side.
Yeah,
But I
it's
just
not
wanna-
like we ever set a rule where no one could change their mind.
right. But because
I'm
You
gonna
must be
swap now too.
100%
No,
ideologically
No,
consistent.
you know what? I'm gonna swap.
okay, wait, no.
Timo?
I'm
Timo?
sticking with it. I'm a man of
Yeah,
conscience.
he's sticking by his guns. All right. You guys remember
So
how
there we
cool
have
Battle
it.
of Narayama was? Remember when they're
Yeah,
on that
I-
mountain? There's all those skeletons. That's pretty cool
Those
shit. Right?
skeletons. We like the skeletons.
Remember the
And
skeletons?
it's sad too.
0 skeletons in Rosetta. What the hell?
True.
I was actually watching with the glasses that let you see through
Oh,
people's
you're watching
skin.
with some X-ray glasses.
So Rosetta is going to go at spot number 22, 7.9, above Ballad of Narayama. So there we
What's it
have
below,
it.
Timo? What's it below?
Oh, it's below Amor.
Oh.
The what-
God, all these movies are fucking sad.
Like, they
Yeah,
are
you-
they're depressing films.
This is honest to God truth. I've been thinking about this a lot recently.
Uh-huh.
Is that the Palme d'Or winning canon
Yeah.
is so socially aware
Yeah.
about the struggles and the plights of the
impoverished
people,
people.
that have plights. That but the main thought that I have about Palme d'Or winners is, oh, they're just sad.
Yeah. they are sad.
They're
there's
just
a-
this is
movie.
it's just a sad body of work.
This
You
is
will
a
get
lot of
you'll get a comedy once in a blue moon. You know, I was
Yeah,
just
like the
scrolling
knack
through
and how to get it.
the knack and how to get it. I'm just going through the very
Exactly.
top. Parasite.
Dumbo.
Yeah, that one's also about poor people.
That one's about exactly.
Hey, we're ready at Pulp Fiction. We're gonna spin
well,
Pulp Fiction
Pulp Fiction
today.
is coming. Pulp Fiction is on the way. What else?
Bowling for Columbine's on the way, right? Well, that's
No,
that's
Fahrenheit 9/11.
sad.
Fahrenheit 9/11.
Sorry, Fahrenheit 9/11.
Which is not sad
That one's
at all.
happy.
No,
Barton Fink. That's a
course not.
comedy.
That was a
Nora.
comedy.
That's a comedy.
Yeah.
Um.
No, but again, the point of Honora
Uh-huh.
is that the
She's-
comedic
is that she's
aspects.
poor.
Listen, I would say if none of us had picked up on the fact that the Palme d'Or canon is largely comprised of like films that deal largely with class identity and class conflict,
would really be failing
I'd suggest you go in and get your head checked.
Yeah.
I'm just going through and seeing if there are any other what comedies we've covered. Is If a comedy? Remember If?
If that
Yeah,
was
I
the one
thought-
with
I
the
thought
school
John
shooting
Krasinski
at
was
the
good in
end,
that
wasn't
one.
it?
Yeah, but it's kind of like a heightened school shooting.
It's
kind
kinda
of
like-
thing.
School shooting if it were funny.
Yeah. Well, it's antic, I suppose. It's sort of
It's
sort of
antic.
Yeah,
it's a little bit. They're like throwing grenades and using like World War II guns.
but they also like whip a boy like really hard.
That's a good
and, like,
point.
get
That's
really
probably
fucked
not.
Up.
Tin
in that
Drum
movie.
is
No,
Tin Drum's fucked up.
No,
That
that's-
one's
that's
that goes in
fucked
the
up.
fucked up category.
Underground. Underground is pretty crazy.
Underground was crazy. It was fucked up
Yeah,
and
but
it
it's
was
about
funny.
war.
I thought that was
That's
There
great.
are. Well, remember? Yeah, but they like light a guy in a wheelchair on fire in that
They
one.
do.
That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
Classic comedy. You don't remember when
Classic.
Charlie Chaplin did that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What else?
Yeah,
The
they're
Knack,
really-
and Knack and How to Get It, Triangle of Sadness. I mean, the Ostland ones.
Ostlands get to be comedies because we think
Oh,
they
that's true.
suck. It's funny how bad. It's funny how bad they are. No, I'm just
Mash.
kidding.
Mash was a comedy.
That was a
Imagine how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's
The Birds, the Bees, and the
spin?
Italians.
Tanner?
Let's do it. I was just counting all of them. How many was that? Like 8?
You know what? Hey, that's actually a good one to end on because like the Birds, the Bees, and Italians is kind of dumb.
Don
not really-
Chicho. Don Chicho.
Was that movie?
No,
Okay.
Don Chichio's the Godfather.
Oh, Juila indeed. Okay, Timo. Ahem. Wheel, what's your deal? Give us a movie that makes us squeal. Is it on digital or is it on real? Wheel, what's your deal?
I'm squealing.
He's a squealer.
I'm squealing. That number's 28.
Number
28.
28, huh?
What's it gonna be? What's it
Give me,
gonna be?
give me a movie that makes me go, sweet!
So we mama.
Okay, all right. Well, just judging a book by the cover here, I think we got another sad guy here. I think we got another sad one. This is from
Judging a film by the award it's won.
yes,
By the body of work that's part of.
This is a film from 1987. It hails from the nation of. Excuse me, just 1 second. Let me find out. What's Danish again? What's Danish?
Denmark.
Denmark. Thank you.
Danelund.
Mm-hmm. Hails from the nation of Denmark, from the year 1987. This is directed by Billy August. This is a guy whose film we've covered in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This.
What about Ted February?
Keep going. Give me another one.
Cheryl December.
Seymour March.
Seymour March, that's right. Okay, this is a film that stars some classic,
First Seymour Butts.
some great Dane names here: Bjorn Granath, Erik Paska, Pelle Vengard, and hey, this is a name we all recognize. Max von Sydow is in this film.
Okay.
This is Pele the Conqueror.
Pele the Conqueror. It's
Mhm.
not about the soccer player, is it?
I don't think so. This is. I'll give you the log line
1987?
here. 1987.
How do you spell it?
Pelle.
Why not Pele then?
In the late
Or Pelle.
19th century, two Swedish immigrants, Lasse Karlsson and his son Pelle, arrive on the Danish island of Bornholm, hoping to find work on a farm and save enough money to travel to the US of A.
Finding work? Island? This is
Mhm.
sounding a lot like this movie we just watched.
Indeed.
Island?
I don't know why I
And
said
July.
island.
Jesus Christ. Let's wrap this up.
Mhm.
Our brains are dribbling out of our ears right now. We got to get out of here. We're going to talk about Pele the Conqueror next time. Hope you join us for some good Danish fun. Thanks for talking about this.
Oh, and I'm sure it will be fun.
I'm sure it will be very, very fun. We're going to keep slogging along through all the Palme d'Or downers until we get to a funny one, and we'll let you guys know when that happens. So...
Good movies by
in
and large.
November.
We like these movies.
Yeah, this was a good movie. Most of these movies have been good movies, so they may be sad, but maybe they're worth watching. Let us know if you watched it in the comments. Let us know if you like sad movies in the comments, or if you are sad yourself, maybe we can help in some way. That's going to have to do it from us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for discussing. Stay cool. Keep warm. Peace.